Yeah.
Morning, everybody. I got asked to share what we're doing in our farm in Manitoba. I find it pretty exciting talking to a lot of different people here, and it seems like we're all on the same page, that's for sure. We all want to maximize productivity, and we all want to grow a good crop. And I think the variable rate technology is definitely allowing us to do that. A bit of background, while we farm in the Red River Valley in Manitoba. It's typically a heavier soil type, although we're closer to the west escarpment, so we're farming some fairly light soils, quite a bit of variability, and that's where I guess I really saw the potential for VR. We started with the VR in potatoes about 5 years ago now, I guess, and the reason I guess I really wanted to experiment with it was we were processing potatoes, and that industry has changed a lot in the last 10 to 15 years. Typically, in the old days of growing potatoes, yes, there was always quality was an issue, quality was important, but the processors really emphasized volume. If we could fill our contract plus grow them some cheap surplus, that was what they wanted. And so now here in the last 5 years, probably, it's gotten to where quality has surpassed quantity. We can, obviously, yield goal is always important, but it's gotten to where if we don't have a consistent product for them to work with, it's pretty hard to empty the sheds. So that's where we started. We have some, like I say, we have some pretty alluvial soils, and we have quite a bit of variability. And so what we did is we tried first year we tried one circle of potatoes, and it really turned out well. Like what I was going after was, we typically were having yield and maturity issues between our different zones. I'm just going to find here. Okay, well that's a different tuber test that we did, but okay, well that's a field of motivators. Now I agree, I probably wouldn't need any awards for picture taking, but this field is both VR and gray tile. So, but you can still see, the variability. Like if you look close, you can see some variability there. Although it looks pretty decent. I was just struck proud when it came out. That's why I took the picture. Let's get back on topic. We were having problems with gravity, we were having problems with fry color, and we were having problems with yield. And so we put a map together for a field, and it blew me away. Our lower areas had so much residual nitrogen. Our higher areas, our ridges, if you will, were next to nothing, and this accounted for a lot of what was going on. Here's a zone map of a field that's going into potatoes next year, actually, or this coming year. Now, it's a before and after gray tile picture or zone map, which has changed it up somewhat. But basically, what I'm trying to say here is, if you look at the green areas, that's very light, very high. The darker red is a little lower. The light red is very low. And typically what was happening is, in the red areas, say, purple was very low, that's a low spot, we were having a lot of residual nitrogen. And that was a problem because we wouldn't get maturity, and thus our gravity was off, our color was off. We had dark areas. It was getting to be a bit of a dog's breakfast, and I really wanted to address that. So now by using the VR, we've obviously deployed and put fertilizer on accordingly. And I'll tell you what convinced me to go to using VR more was that first year, I didn't say much to anybody about doing it. So the pilot that was spraying our potatoes, we have to spray them once to twice a week with fungicide. About the end of July, I showed up at the retailer there, and he says to me, "What'd you do to that field?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "Well, that's your most even field. What'd you do?" And so then I explained what we were doing, and then the next factor was we were hauling that bin of potatoes in wintertime. And we typically store one or more, 2 to 3 fields in a bin. And Robert, the scheduler from McCain's, called me and he said, "What just happened in your bin?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, you changed field or something. Your gravity's bang on." And I said, "Okay, yeah, that was the goal." And so that's pretty exciting. So from there on, we've taken it a lot farther. Now, this is a good picture. This shows you some of the variability. Now, obviously, I understand everybody in Western Canada probably has been working with some of these kind of conditions for the last few years. What I was trying to illustrate by putting this picture in there is that VR isn't maybe the be-all and end-all. We still have other factors to work with. Now, granted, this field, the previous field was drain tiled, this one is not. That's not an apples to apples comparison. We are west of the Red River, so the water runs east. This quarter is on the east side of the section, the other quarter that I just showed you was on the west side, so that makes a difference too. But yeah, these are some of the other factors we work with, and drain tile is really helping our production, that's for sure. As you can see, we've had some challenges. I just threw some pictures on there. This here was not a good day. That's some good potatoes, my niece there. Yeah, my baby girl. I had to throw some of these on there, I couldn't help it. Yeah, so then we, as our experience grew with the potatoes, I moved the Great Beard VR program into our other crops. Obviously, any crop is the same. If you have varying soil zones, you'll have varying degrees of success. That's just the way it goes, right? And in the old days, I mean, when nitrogen was cheap, you threw enough on, good enough to give her. But now, obviously, with costs being what they are, we want to be a little more efficient, right? So that's a soil zone from a field. This was actually potatoes this past year. It's going to be corn this coming year. That will really, that one there will really affect what we're doing as far as fertilizing corn. Right now, we're not VR, on the corn side of things, we're not VRing our phosphor or potash. We're putting that on with the planter. I haven't gotten to where we have a planter that's VR capable yet. What we're doing is we're top dressing our nitrogen with a sprayer. Now, see, of course, previously, to grow a crop of corn, like our yield goals on corn are probably around 120 bushels an acre. We would have thrown probably in the neighborhood of 120 pounds a head on across the field. Done. Now, as you can see here, these pink areas, again, different soils or not, but the yellow areas are higher and lighter. And now, the way Dr. Raj explained it was well put. He was saying some areas can produce more than others. I like to look at it a little differently. I think on our soils anyway, we have potential right across the board. It's just a matter of how do we manage it to achieve it. And so that's what we're doing with this. Those yellow areas, they don't hold nitrogen like say the pink area. But that pink area there, now after the soil sample, was holding 100 pounds a M, whereas there was 10 in 0 to 6 on the yellow zone. So now when we go and variate our nitrogen on it, we can really put it where it needs to be, which is making a big difference in profitability and utilization of the product. And we can grow, and now, like last year, we finally bought a combine that had a capability of having a yield monitor on it, better late than never. And that's really, really amazing to see how our yield maps correlate with these soil zones done with satellite imagery. They match up. It's almost uncanny. You can just lay one on top of the other. It's pretty cool. So yeah, it's a pretty exciting thing on our farm. It's been working pretty good on all our crops. Probably the biggest benefit I've seen is in the potatoes, corn, wheat as well. With wheat, we were having the same situation. When you get to a lower area of the field, and our wheat was lying flat, it was, over fertilized, over nitrogen. Up on the ridge, it was thin and thin, and maybe, your yield monitor would go anywhere from 15 bushels to 100, just it was really the same. And what VR has done is really evened that out. It's just amazing. And after doing it for a few years, the phos and the potash and different nutrients are starting to even themselves out as well. It's just amazing results, actually, in wheat production. Like this field, this year in particular, I can think of one field we were combining, and my dad's kind of more in retirement mode at this point. He was driving the combine and watching the yield monitor. He said, did you VR this field?" And I said, "Well, yeah, we did." He said, "Well, I've never seen wheat like this on this ridge." And I'm like, "Well, yes, I've been trying to tell you. We're using VR." But yeah, as you can see, the moisture has been a factor for us in the last few years. And so the bottom line is it's working pretty good. I can just say what's been working for us on our farm. Obviously, every farm is different, every area is different. Know your soil. That's probably one of the bigger things. I mean, you can draw a VR map, and if you don't know your soil, you can't see whether it matches or not. I mean, I know our fields well enough to know whether the map makes sense. I mean, that's very important. And I mean, treat it on a field-by-field basis. We have a few quarters that aren't maybe in as big a need of VR because they don't have as many different soil zones. It's very much on a field-by-field basis. But yeah, the bottom line is for us anyway, it's really been improving our yields. And as far as cost goes, yes, it's an investment, but what our farming isn't. I mean, probably it costs us in the neighborhood of $6 to $7 an acre for the program, which, I mean, in today's commodity price, I mean, what is that? It's a bushel of wheat, not even a bushel of canola, so I mean, really, what is it? We spend a lot more money on a lot of other things that probably don't pay back as well. That's what I can say. It's been working good for us, and as far as cost savings, aside from the cost of doing the program, I wouldn't say my goal would ever be to save money on fertilizer. That would be, that's a best case scenario. The odd time we'll come across a field where we have a good enough residual value of phos and potash where we can back that off a little bit, so we save ourselves a few bucks. But generally, you're going to spend just as much or more money on fertilizer. You're just going to put it where it needs to be. So, yeah, that's about I think all I have. I had to put that on there too. That's my little girl. She's a week old in the combine. I had a few people shocked that I had her in the combine with me at a week old, and I said, "Well, what's wrong? It's not going to hurt the combine." Anyway, that's what I have.
Oh, it's hard to beat that last picture. Yeah, very good, very interesting.